Grin, thanks for speaking at Network State 2025. Tell us about Fractal.
So Fractal was started in New York City by Priya and Andrew. They wanted to create a community of their friends living near each other, working together, ultimately a very college campus kind of feel, but for people who are post-college. They eventually grew it to a co-working space, a co-living situation with hundreds of people living near each other, a coding boot camp. They're launching startups out of it. They're teaching each other classes. And I was very inspired by this. And I was like, Boston should have one. I live in Boston. I wasn't planning to move to New York, though I love New York. And I'd like to make one here.
That's great. And so how many fractals are there?
I would say there's maybe 5 or 6 at this point. And there's one in Vancouver. There's one in Porto. There's one in Geneva. A few other ones.
Great. And how many people do you have total?
So in New York, there's maybe 1,000 people who would say they're part of Fractal in different capacities. For us, it's maybe 60, 70. The other Fractals are also kind of smaller. They range from several hundred to maybe several dozen people.
Is it a paid membership? How does that work?
No, I think of Fractal as a social fabric. So anyone can come and participate. But within that social fabric, there are paid things like classes. For example, in New York, Daniel Gollier teaches Maximum New York. Or Foundations of New York, and that's a paid class. It's $2,000 a person.
Got it. And what kinds of things do Fractal members learn and teach?
So for us, for example, we ran a semester this summer. It was a dozen classes. They ranged from AI vibecoding to yoga to how suburban government works. I taught a class on great scenes throughout history. The way that these started was a couple people wanted to watch Andrej Karpathy's Zero to Hero AI courses, which are a fantastic series of YouTube videos. But if you just sit down and do them on your own, most people don't finish them or they fall off. And so they're like, well, we'll do them together as a class. And so he was kind of virtually the teacher for this class. And that's like maybe in the middle towards the more rigorous end. I would say Foundations of New York is very rigorous. You're required to go to city council meetings. You're required to give testimony. You're required to participate in government. If you miss more than 2 classes, you're kicked out. That's on one end. On the other end, you have something like pencil portraiture, where we're just practicing drawing. There's homework. You have to draw. But if you don't do the homework, it's mostly just you're missing out.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Bye, Alex.